Hey everyone, welcome back to your week ahead astrology breakdown. I'm Matthew Oliver from Stillwater Alchemy, and this week, everything is happening. Everything. Here's why. First of all, if you're an air or fire sign or have a lot of dominant air or fire sign in your chart, this week is really going to impact you. Mercury ingresses into Gemini. We have the full moon in Sagittarius. Lots of good energy still going on in Aries. So this is going to be a time to take full advantage of these transits. Second, with Mercury coming out of its post-retrograde shadows by the end of this week, regaining strength, being in one of its favorite signs of Gemini, it's like we're integrating everything from eclipse season. The dust is settling. It's becoming very clear what we need to do. And those lessons are going to be further amplified with the full moon, and a lot of the transits are hitting Saturn this week as well. Okay, so as always, I go into these themes in depth even more in the full moon workshop. So I'll put that in the description of the bio. Lots of beautiful knowledge and a great meditation to tap into your dreams and to expand those dreams and what's coming through both from a subconscious place and from our higher self. So check that out if it feels aligned. Otherwise, we're going to dive straight into the week ahead. Ooh, also, before I get to that, please let me know if there are any fun breakthroughs that came through with the Venus-Uranus conjunction. Personal story, Taurus, where this Venus-Uranus conjunction took place, rules my fifth house in astrology. So the fifth house, where we find pleasure, romance. We also find games in the fifth house. And I don't know if you all remember back in the early 90s that Game Boys were all the rage. I remember cutting out coupons from the back of like Cheerios cereal boxes to giving them to my parents, being like, see, we can save money. Like, please, please, please buy me one. And as I got older, I think I just found that, or maybe judged people who played video games. Like, that's such a waste of time. Like, you're an adult now. What are you doing? But recently I was like, oh, because I got that really cute Sailor Moon mug at GameStop. I was with a friend. He's like, oh, let's stop in here. I'm like, okay, there's not going to be anything for me. And I was like, oh, video games are so fun. And the fantasy and the adventure and the eye coordination just reminded me of being a little kid and really wanting that Game Boy so bad. And I ended up getting it. But then as I got older, you have to be responsible. And so I found the newest version of the Game Boy called a Nintendo Switch. And there's even a game about Greek mythology called Hades that won all these awards. And so literally during this conjunction, I went to a place called Shoppers here in Canada, and I had enough points to redeem it to get the whole thing for free. So that was a really fun manifestation of like getting that Sailor Moon mug, spurred my memory of video games, and I ended up getting it. So astrology for the win. Please let me know how you experience the Venus-Uranus conjunction. I'm curious to see how else that manifested for you in your life. Okay, good. Sometimes I like to share these things in my life to give actual visceral examples. So I'm not just talking here being this all-knowing sage or wizard, that it's like, no, these things happen to me too. And they can sometimes be really random or motivated by the most obscene things that I never thought would happen. And here we are. So the astrology for the week. Oh, let's say Thursday is going to be a big day. And it is a big day. I remember reviewing this before hopping on. So we'll get to it. But we're first going to start off on Monday, June 13th, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So listen, Moon in Sagittarius, it's in that waxing gibbous phase because we're going to have the full moon on Tuesday. But before then, it's almost like we're building momentum. I don't want you to slow down the energy or the motivation or the excitement that you have building in a certain area of your life. Of course, take the time to rest if you need it, but everything this week is really gearing us up for something big, a revelation, something nuanced, or something that's really going to propel us into that next phase of our life. I've pretty much seen it across the board in all my client sessions. People are getting the job offers into different programs. They're meeting key prominent figures in the world, or that's very like they're moving. A lot is happening across the board. So I want you, if that hasn't manifested yet, look to the houses in your chart that are ruled by Sagittarius and Aries, because with all of this fire energy, that's movement, that's passion, that's ambition, right? We want to use this energy to our advantage. Also just moving our body, getting outside, being in the sun, really embracing that fire magic would be wise. And this is just an auspicious energy because we have the moon making those trines to Jupiter and Mars. So it's almost like if you are one to get intuitive downloads when you're exercising, or when you're being intimate, or when you are just creating, like moving energy or heating things up, this would be really nice. Or just some really auspicious news for things that you have been passionate towards or that you want to start, right? We're talking about Aries energy and Sagittarius. And I talked about this in the full moon workshop, but this is the first lunation that we're going to have in Sagittarius that hasn't been co-present the South Node since 2019. So if we fast forward to Tuesday, we are now in the full moon energy, and we are still having the moon interact with Mars within that 9-degree orb. So this is something really exciting. I feel like there's going to be news or energy that's coming through that you're going to want to act on, that you're going to want to take and propel and move forward. Also, Mercury is now in Gemini. So like we said, Mercury is retracing its steps, regaining strength, regaining power. The one thing I want to talk about here as well is that the moon is making a square to Neptune, a sextile to Saturn, and a semi-sextile to Pluto. So for those of you who have watched these recaps, I usually stick to the major Ptolemaic aspects, but a semi-sextile is when planets are 30 degrees away from each other. I bring this up because we have the moon making that square to Neptune. We want to focus on our dreams. We also want to make sure that we're not falling for illusions or delusions, right? Commonly manifested by us comparing ourselves to others on social media, or us not believing in ourselves, or people telling us that we're dreaming too big, or not even allowing ourselves to dream and to explore what that could look like. This semi-sextile to Pluto, it's almost like the moon is in order here, right? In terms of what it's going to interact with over the upcoming week. So that's semi-sextile to Pluto. We've been talking about how Mercury was making that trine to Pluto last week in terms of structure and stability and what we needed to feel safe and secure. And so what subconscious reprogramming do you maybe need to address, or what fears or doubts or judgments can we work through with this full moon to allow us the structure, the boundaries, the discipline to actually enact that dream, so that with this energy, it can be conducive instead of working against us. I have a lot of people that say, I wish I could do this, or this is going to take 5 years, or maybe I can do this at some point. Well, we can do it now. We just have to understand where those limiting beliefs came from, why we believe them, and are we willing to put in the work to actually pursue what we've always wanted. And sometimes that comes from a physical investment, a time investment, or an energy investment, or sometimes all of the above, but it's not out of your reach. And so I want you to be able to dream a little bit. I want you to see what news correspondence and downloads come through, especially Monday, Tuesday. You might already be feeling it as you're watching this video. And then you can make the informed decision of where you maybe need support, where you need time to process, or where you want to take that inspired action moving forward, okay? Beautiful. And remember, we're still in this Venus-Uranus conjunction, right? It's still within that 3-degree orb here. So there might even be new love, new pleasure, new romance that comes into your field of scope, which is now maybe making you reconsider things. It's like my little example of like this love of video games has really shifted how I work. I'm like, if I can get all this done, then I can spend an hour on this video game console. It just kind of like reprioritize pleasure. I'm like, yeah, this is really fun. People have had it right this entire time. So maybe there's going to be something that you're like, I thought it was silly, or I thought that I could never do this, but now I do. So this Tuesday full moon in Sagittarius energy is a vibe. And when we move to Wednesday, it's very interesting. Like I say, it's poetic how these transits work. We now have the Mars Chiron conjunction at 15 degrees. The moon has now ingressed into Capricorn. The moon in Capricorn, it wants to get things done. It wants to be pragmatic. It wants to say, what do we need to do and how are we going to do it? With this Mars Chiron energy in Aries, it can manifest in a couple ways. So one, Chiron is that wounded healer asteroid. It's interesting that the only asteroid that we have displayed commonly is a male asteroid instead of the goddess asteroids, but that's a conversation for another time. in this case, I know a lot of people like to work with Chiron or their own natal Chiron or in transit. So with Mars, what action are you not taking? What action are you scared of? What action or inaction are you judging around yourself or others? So this can manifest for us personally, or it can be the action or inaction of other. Part of me is thinking of with the moon in Capricorn, Mars and Aries, as all this is taking place, as the moon is making that applied square to Mars and Chiron. That can also be around authority, power, abuse, and how have you allowed your own personal autonomy to be swayed by others? And this could, of course, be masculine energy as well, or in the workplace, or you not standing up for yourself, and that's caused you to be frustrated. So it can be inaction based out of fear, inaction based out of trauma, or it can be other people's assertiveness or actions or lack thereof that's causing you to be frustrated. You're not able to express it. You're like, if only I had a better boss, I could make more money. If I had as many resources as this person, or if I didn't have to go through this trauma, then I could be more apt to succeed in this situation. I just want you to see where that's coming through. Of course, as a hint, you can look to the part of your chart that's ruled by Aries. It might be very obvious already. If, of course, you have prominent cardinal energy in and around 15 degrees, so Aries, Libra, Cancer, or Capricorn, this will probably be more pronounced in this case. I am a little bit more hopeful in this regard. A really big thing that's just coming through intuitively is confrontation. Don't be afraid of confrontation to set better boundaries. We're going to have that Sun Saturn trine tomorrow on Thursday. So I don't want you to lose your power because of the fear of confrontation. So that can be, of course, in work, relationships, finances, you just not putting yourself in a situation where you can express yourself clearly. And Mars is in its home sign of Aries, right? So I just feel like you're not going to be able to avoid it. Also, just be aware of the world at large is kind of experiencing some kind of purge or outrage or angst. This is very much the reason why I'll be curious to see what happens in and around that time. We've also seen a lot of attacks and Martian type themes with Mars and Aries lately, which is just something to watch out for. It's not necessarily good or bad, but I kind of hope that people are able to speak up individually and collectively with this conjunction. I'm hopeful with that, especially with the Sun and Saturn in air signs. Stay tuned. Also, just as a fun thing that I noticed, if you have to go to the dentist on Wednesday, I would maybe reschedule. Teeth is ruled by Capricorn. The head is Aries. And so we have this Moon Mars square, and then Mars is conjunct Chiron. I would just avoid anything that would cause trauma or pain to the head or to the teeth, or even your knees as well. It's kind of like if you've been avoiding stretching or going to get some body work done, it may catch up to you on this day. And it's also just a good reminder to take care of your body, take care of your mind, take care of your emotions and how you express those emotions. Because remember, the body doesn't forget trauma or exhaustion or pain. The body's always going to remember. It always keeps score and it's always going to win. A saying by Brene Brown. So this could also be a manifestation of aches or pains in the body because you haven't transmuted or released that energy. So like I said, very poetic that Tuesday we have the full moon, and then Wednesday it's time that we make sure our emotions are flowing through us clearly, and then boundaries are being in place on Thursday. So here's the thing. There's so many things going on Thursday, which I already hinted at before. First of all, we have Venus conjunct the North Node, which is a really beautiful energy. The exact conjunction takes place at around 5:55 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. I really like this, of course, Venus in her home sign, North Node. It can also just be an energy of whatever that Venus-Uranus energy manifested as, that it may take its truest form on Thursday, or it might be very clear, or there might be more love, more money, more opportunity, or something to really celebrate, some Venusian theme that is in alignment, or something that you've worked really hard for, or even a theme that came through during eclipse season around Taurus season. It's like, this is what I worked so hard for, or this is what I've been working towards. And now I'm seeing either the exact manifestation or there's signs from the universe that are allowing me to keep going. And perhaps from expressing yourself and having that conversation, or being honest with yourself in terms of that Mars Chiron conjunction, that greater love was able to come through. This could be an easy example of you hate your job, your job. It gives you absolutely no pleasure. You quit your job, you go to the bank and they approve you for a huge loan. You're like, oh my gosh, all I wanted was more money so I could start my own business. I left something. I feel so much better. I never have to go back into that office again. And now I have all this money that I can invest into my dreams. As an example, another really nice energy of Thursday is that the moon is conjunct Pluto, and the moon is also making a trine to Venus. So that's also why I'm thinking that hard work and sacrifice and ambition that you had is going to pay off really well. Again, as a hint, you can look at the houses ruled by Capricorn and Taurus to see where this really nice reward or energy or money or opportunity is likely to manifest. I also want you to remember where you were Boxing Day, December 26th of 2021, as well as the beginning of March of 2022. I say this because that's when Venus was conjunct Pluto during her retrograde, right? So Boxing Day is when Venus was retrograde conjunct Pluto, and then the beginning of March was when Venus was now direct in Capricorn conjunct Pluto in these late degrees of Capricorn. And so with the moon now crossing those degrees again and now making a trine to Venus in her home sign of Taurus, I just feel like a lesson that you learned either during eclipse season or during Venus's retrograde or both. There's about to be a big payday, or there's about to be a big revelation, or there's about to be a huge win that will help shift your subconscious mind to really showcase it's now clear why I had to go through that, or I'm so proud of myself and I know that the work works. I think that there's just going to be something really big to celebrate on Thursday. So that's a date to circle. Also, we have the moon sextiling Neptune, which also helps with clarity, creativity, energy working in our favor. And the sun is making a trine to Saturn. And this is a beautiful energy of discipline and boundaries as well. So this is just a play on what we already worked on with the full moon on Tuesday, and then the Mars Chiron conjunction on Wednesday. So we're just building on this. We're like, no, I need to have these proper boundaries and discipline in place so I can master a certain area of my life, or that I can use my words and communicate more clearly, or that I'm just a better usher of my time. And that time can be pursuing your dreams, pursuing a relationship, all of the above. There's definitely going to be something where you have more freedom, something more to love, and there's going to be more time and boundaries for you to focus and enjoy that. Okay. So lots of great things coming in, as we can already see. I just want to double check my notes because there were so many things I had written down. Yeah, I also just wanted to point out that if you have third decan Earth placements, so anything between 20 and 29 degrees of Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo, naturally with all of this Earth energy in play, that this is a really great time for you. As I said at the beginning of this video, majority of the transits this week really favor air and fire signs, but definitely for our Earth angels, with all of this positive Venusian energy taking place on Thursday and Friday, this is something to celebrate, okay? Friday, of course, Venus's day. We're still coming off of that Venus North Node conjunction. I want you to do something to celebrate all of the wins or revelations or opportunities that came in. We can see that there was a lot already this week, so taking time to enjoy it would be quite nice. Also, we have the moon and Mercury making a trine here, right? So lots of nice air energy in the mix as we come into the weekend. So this could be correspondence, news, business, opportunity, all of these things coming in very quickly. And remember that Mercury is in one of its home signs in Gemini. And then we're creating the structure, foundation for all of aligned energy to flow in with ease. And also too, we now have Venus making that applied sextile to Neptune. So for me, this is like dream love, manifestation, clarity, creativity, whatever you're wanting to bring in. This is really an opportunity to see how your spiritual tools bring in these rapid manifestations. I was literally just talking to a friend before I hopped on this recording who was visiting Toronto. and they wanted to find a sublet, and they were saying, oh, this might be really expensive. The prices are insane. My response, or maybe the perfect sublet just lands on your lap. And they messaged me and said, that's so funny you say that. A friend saying that they're just about to up and move, and they let me know, and they said they're looking for a sublet. This gets to be easy. It gets to be free flowing. We do the work, set ourselves up for success. The universe delivers. Bada bing, bada boom. And so this is just a nice energy to play with. I will say on Saturday, it's kind of an energy we just get to slow down a little bit. Naturally, if you've been going day by day, it's kind of like boom, 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 more, more, more. And so with the moon conjunct Saturn, you might just literally want to slow down or not have to take things so quickly. I think it'll be focused energy, because that's usually what Saturn will do. And then we also have the moon making that sextile to Mars. I do also just want to reiterate as well that we now have Venus making that square with the moon and Saturn. So this can also just kind of be like a U-turn energy for those who didn't put up the proper boundaries or didn't trust in their intuition, or maybe haven't been doing the work or not trusting in the process, that it's like, okay, well, now we need to take a step back and really reevaluate these things. On the positive side, of course, it can also just be these boundaries are working out in our favor, or we just need to really address these areas of our life with our friends, our lovers, our family, with our work, with ourselves, and what we need to be successful. Of course, with the moon and Venus representing more of that feminine energy in astrology, it could just be boundaries with a sister, a mother, a female energy in your life that you're like, okay, I just really need to have this conversation now so that everything is out in the open. I've now learned how to express my energy. I'm not as afraid of confrontation. This is just going to be a good time for us to come together to ensure that everyone is happy and structured moving forward. And of course, as we move throughout this week, we're also finishing off Gemini season. So taking advantage of our words, of air energy, of air magic, being very intentional with your words, not being afraid to have those conversations. I know I keep saying it a lot, but there is great opportunity to be had with just openly expressing yourself and also just voicing your dreams into the ether, into the universe, and not being afraid of that. And it's okay to be frustrated and to be maybe mad that certain things are coming, but not as quickly as you want them to. Either verbalize them to yourself with coach, mentor, therapist, healer, or just write it down so that you're not holding all of this air energy in and being frustrated. And of course, this could also be around your beauty or around your money. It's like, oh, like this is just really frustrating. Or I feel like I'm working so hard, I'm not getting anywhere. There could be this strain. So try not to be hard on yourself on Saturday. Or maybe let's say you started your business and you're making all this money, and then a friend or a family member, it just seems like they're always ahead of you or they're always one-upping you, and it makes you feel insecure. You're just like, this is not my energy to hold. I'm still going to be proud of myself and all the work that I've done. It just seems like in terms of beauty or money or opportunity, how far we are, there's either space to give ourselves grace or to clarify something so we have the boundaries being crystal clear. The good news is that the moon is making that trine to the sun. So there is really good opportunity, like I said, to come together, potentially to brainstorm, collaborate, to work in a way that is more social. So take that, like literally just go out and have fun, socialize. I wouldn't feel like you have to work so hard. You might feel like I just want to go, work. But if there's an opportunity to be social and to connect with like-minded people, I would do so. And then Sunday, we have the moon in Pisces. So here's the thing. The moon is making a square to Mercury. That can sometimes be tricky because this is both mutable energy, Pisces, Gemini, moon, Mercury. That can sometimes, if we have not taken Saturday, or the whole entire week, but let's say Saturday, we just drowned our thoughts. We were on social media. We didn't have the right conversations. We didn't want to be social. This could just allow us to be maybe anxious or depressed, or our mind just racing and going all these different ways, or further distracting ourselves or going into this rut. We do not need that. Instead, we can use this more creative, dreamy, even self-care, right? With the moon in Pisces, she just wants to daydream. She wants to rest. She wants to have some good food, some good love. There's no real rush. You've been working so hard, probably for longer than this entire week. Take Sunday, take the weekend to just unwind and to relax. Positive news as well as the moon is making that applied sextile to Uranus. There could be something innovative or creative. Even just right now, intuitively, it's like the more you slow down, the more clear things become. There's no need to rapidly go. The forward movement and accelerating and building on momentum, that's the start of the week. When we get to the weekend, enjoy, rest. Also, there's an energy too of just connecting in with your inner child, right? What is it that you've always wanted to do? Or maybe that's something that just brings you joy and happiness for the sake of bringing joy and happiness. It could even just be like drawing, picking flowers, laying in a garden. Feel into your emotions. Don't try and think your way through things. Feel through them is how I'd recommend this, okay? And then we also see here that we have the exact Venus-Neptune conjunction. So surrounding yourself with beauty, feel good. If you want to do some spiritual healing or journaling or pulling a few tarot cards, Sunday could be a really great day for that. But take it easy on the weekend, okay? And be sure to practice exerting yourself, your boundaries, both personally and interpersonally, because it'll allow all these energies to flow through a lot more clearly and uninterrupted, especially at the end of the week, okay? Boom. So the astrology question of the week, someone asked if the moon is transiting through your rising sign, your first house, or if the moon is conjunct your natal moon, would you feel that more intensely? The answer is yes, of course. So any transit that's going through your first house, you're going to feel that, whether it's the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, it doesn't matter. It really will feel obvious. So when the moon is going through your first house, there may be an emotional switch that happens. You may feel like you want to focus on your health, your body, which are very much tied to the moon. If you have prominent 9th house or 5th house placements, planets in either of those houses, that is going to be really nice because then the moon is making a trine to the 5th house or the 9th house. And I mean, those houses are quite nice. The 9th house, we're talking about beliefs, higher knowledge, travel. The 5th house, pleasure, romance, adventure, sport, games. So that's always a really nice energy to play for or play with, whatever you feel like doing. And naturally, the angular houses, which are the 1st house, 7th house, 10th house, and 4th house, would be activated with the moon in the 1st. So if you have any other placements in the 7th house, the 4th house, or the 10th house, you may feel like emotionally you just need to be able to sort yourself out in those aspects of your life, which are kind of like the 4 pillars: house of self, house of other, home life, and career, or fame, honor, reputation. So yeah, I could go into that a lot more, but yes, you'll feel it definitely when the moon is in the 1st house, and use it to your advantage as well. Like I said, if you natally have 1st house placements, the moon hitting that is going to amplify that even more. And even just knowing every single month when the moon is in your 1st house, you might be able to play with the energy more or prepare for more creativity, or you might need some time for yourself because the moon is making maybe a square in opposition to your natal Mars or Uranus or whatever it may be. So you know whenever the moon is in your 1st house transiting, that you're going to need some time for yourself to emotionally regulate, or even booking therapy or a massage when the moon is going through your 1st house would be a very, very good idea. Now, part 2 to that question was when the moon is conjunct your natal moon. That is called your lunar return, which isn't really talked about a lot, which is odd, but perfect opportunity to talk about that now. So like we celebrate our birthday, our solar return, we have a lunar return every month, right? So a lunar return could really just be a regulation of your emotions. It's like an emotional reset. It's also just a good opportunity to see how is my mental and emotional health, how I've been able to go through the past 28, 30 days. And have I noticed a difference? Have I noticed that these new structures or routines or relationships are actually serving me? Or do I feel the same kind of fatigue or exhaustion this time every month? I will say usually the days leading up to your lunar return, you might feel agitated or drained. It's like the moon just made a whole journey. And now it's time for that to take place. It could happen the other way around. I just know for myself, for clients, for friends, when they're going through their lunar return, the day or two leading up to it, they can really feel it. They're like, ooh, I need a break. The moon is literally just coming back from a whole cycle. So that can also be a time as well, like how we talked about using forecasting to look when the moon is going to be in your first house, to look when you're going to have that lunar return. So remember, that's just when the moon meets up your natal moon. And I'll include in the description of this video a lunar calendar on AstroSeek. So you can literally go based on your time zone at any point of the year to know when the moon is in whichever sign. And so you can write it down in your day planner that on certain days, the moon will be in your first house or your lunar return. And I was working with a feng shui expert who utilizes Chinese astrology and the Bazi. And so the one time we were looking at auspicious dates, and my natal moon is in the fourth house where we find home and dwelling, obviously connected to feng shui, the energy of your space that you live in. And the one day that was the most auspicious was my lunar return. So I found it very interesting that no matter what kind of energy system or astrology you use, it always ends up connecting and aligned. Okay. So yes to both. We love looking at the moon. And of course, if your natal moon is in Sagittarius, this upcoming full moon is going to be huge. Similarly, if you're a Sagittarius rising, this is going to be a very big lunation. So that question comes at a perfect time that you can literally use it in your own life to play with this full moon, realizing where this full moon is coming into effect, and also looking at not only the house ruled by Sagittarius, but also Gemini, because they're going to be connected, right? The sun is in Gemini, the moon is in Sagittarius, which is causing this full moon. So the axis in which this full moon is happening, the Gemini Sagittarius axis in your own individual natal chart, is going to be pronounced, activated. More energy is going to come in. So that's why we do these videos. I want you to be able to understand these transits, but also how it relates to your own charts. You can practice playing with it on its own in conjunction with your intuition, or just summoning the magic of the planets in whatever way works best for you. Okay? Fabulous. I know it's a lot of information that this can be like a second language. So if there's any clarity around the transits that we discussed, or the Astro question, or about the full moon workshop, please let me know in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Have a phenomenal week. Enjoy the activations. Enjoy asserting yourself and creating new boundaries and paradigms to support you and all of your dreams and desires. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.